Hi, welcome back to Random Reading Pathways. I've been out searching lately for anything random to grab and add to the collection. And in the last week or so, I did come up with a couple more finds that I wanted to share. So let's start with this first find. I like to describe kind of my pathway to the book, right? So that's kind of part of the idea of the channel here is Random Reading Pathways, and what kind of random whims and instincts and random number generation takes me to a given book on a given day. And I think as part of that, I have found that I've been able to make some pretty good finds for pretty cheap, if I'm looking in the right places at the right moment. So I kind of want to highlight that too, just to show that this random pathway I'm on, it doesn't hurt the wallet too much, and sometimes it can result in a find that is actually a pretty good idea to invest in. So this one came about. I live near Philadelphia, so I find myself in Philadelphia from time to time, and I did so about a week ago, and it was a work-related occurrence, and I happened to have a little bit of quick downtime to myself, which I used to take a quick stroll and punch it in my map and see if I could find the nearest place where used books might be available. And I did so. There's a place in Philadelphia, which is the Corner Book Corner, I believe it's called. It's associated with the Philadelphia Free Library. And as you'll see from this random find there are old library books that are available in there. So I took a quick trip over there, and it's a pretty good selection. Went to the back where the fiction section was, and I decided to look around quick and see if anything jumped out at me, anything I needed or had my eye on for a while. Nothing really did. So I pulled out the handy random number generator, as I do, and punched it into the fiction section. And where it led me was something I have never heard of. Maybe you have. This book here, China by Alan Wall. So as you can see from the side here, it's got the little wall sticker on there indicating that this is a long forgotten library title. It's from Thomas Dunn Books, St. Martin's Press, and a couple of blurbs here on the back, but it's a hardcover in the jacket here in pretty good condition. It's a UK author, I believe. Other than that, I really don't know anything about this, but as usual, the random number generator took me to something that looked kind of intriguing, and I'm interested to read this when I get around to it. Just read quickly off the front dust jacket here, just for a little information about what it might be. Digby Walton was once the heir to an English pottery company. Now, in old age, he contemplates the history of that company as he reflects upon the modern world. His own heir, his son Theo, would rather ignore history completely and lose himself in smoky jazz clubs with his trumpet. Theo wants to live entirely inside the perfection of music, but will reality let him? And let's see here. Skip a little bit. In the tradition of Louis Bagley and John Updike, China is a novel about life and looking back. So there you have it. So this is China by Alan Wall. Again, completely new to me and brought about completely as a result of random number generation, but really great condition. I don't see any issues with this other than wishing that tag didn't exist. But so this will go on the shelf, and this will go to the TBR pile. The next random stop I made recently was, again, in a little short amount of time I had to myself in between work. I found myself driving around, and I'm always on the lookout for any opportunity for a random pluck out of a shelf somewhere. So I looked around and I spotted a library that I actually hadn't ever had a chance to visit before. And so I had some time and a couple minutes and a couple dollars on me, so I went ahead and pulled in, just hoping to find a book sale or a sale cart somewhere in there. And luckily I was graced with one right when I walked in, and I was surprised. It was actually a pretty good little table that was set up with fiction, nonfiction, history, paperbacks, hardcovers, you know, a pretty usual spread that you would see at a library book table. So I went in there. I have a couple finds from there, two of which were not random number generation, but the decision to pull into this previously undiscovered library and just dive into their table was random. So I was randomly led there by a whim, but I did not randomly pick these books. I picked these with every intention of completing his Dark Materials trilogy, which I've been meaning to do. So I found Philip Pullman's last two entries in the His Dark Materials trilogy. If you're not familiar with it, it's a fantasy series by Philip Pullman. It starts with The Golden Compass, which is kind of the most famous book of the trio. It's been made into a movie, I'm pretty sure, maybe a television series. I'm not sure about that one, but so that completes the trilogy for me because I am a big fan of The Golden Compass. I haven't read it in a while, but I read it when I was a bit younger. And I mentioned on the introduction to this channel that, you know, growing up and getting further and further into reading, I did have a long, really drawn-out Harry Potter obsession phase in my life of reading. And I credit The Golden Compass by Philip Pullman as the book that finally broke me out of the Harry Potter pattern and gave me something new. So I really have a special place for that book because I do remember specifically, you know, pressuring myself a little bit and saying, come on, that's enough of Harry, let's move on and let's find something else. And I wanted something in a similar type world with a similar type feeling. And The Golden Compass really delivered that to me when I was younger. So I've always had a special place for that book. And recently at a used bookstore, I did pick up, again, not random, I did want this in the collection, but I found for a very steeply discounted price, a collector's edition of The Golden Compass by Philip Pullman. So this is book one in his Dark Materials, and this is from Knopf, and this is the, you know, nice box set here of the first book. I think I have that wrong. There you go. So yeah, you know, not like I found this for $1 or anything, but just a really beautiful hardcover collector's edition. Again, if somebody has read The Golden Compass, you'll remember the polar bears and the, you know, awesome significance that they have in the story. And that's just, I was so happy this was the cover too, because that's just, I think most Golden Compass covers have the polar bear on the cover, but it's just so what I associate with this title and what I remember from reading it back in the day, and just finally being launched into another magical, wonderful world that I was severely in need of. So yeah, so this is the Golden Compass collector's edition that I got recently. And since I did, I was on the lookout for, you know, an easy, cheap way to complete the series. And so this random library that I just stopped into allowed me to do that with The Subtle Knife and The Amber Spyglass. The Subtle Knife here is the second book, and these are just little kind of mass market type paperbacks, but nice glossy, shiny finish on them. And they really caught my eye because of the shininess, which I was happy to look down and find that it was these books. You know, really good condition. Flipping through this, I mean, you know, they look pretty good. I don't see a lot of issues with this. Kind of have this neat little, you know, cutout here on the front where you get the illustration behind it. So The Subtle Knife is the second book, which after I read The Golden Compass a while ago, I did pick it up and try to get going with it. As I've said on the channel a few times, I had a lot of those books where I wanted to dive back into something and didn't follow through with it. But this year, you know, things have been different. That's why I got this channel started in the first place, because I'm excited about reading again. So hoping to give the series a full reread through and an actual first read of the second and third book in the series. And the Amber Spyglass is a bit bigger to conclude the trilogy. So I'm excited to see where that one goes. But again, similar. I love the golden shiny kind of cover on here. And these were about 50 cents each. So excellent random find there to complete the collection. Now this one is true random number generation at its finest. I follow, for the most part, as I've said, where it leads. I don't really question it too much unless it's a title where I'm completely outside anything I would want to read. But also at the same library, I did want to indulge the random number generation at least a little bit. After I found Philip Pullman's books by intention, I wanted to give a little bit of a dice roll also. So I did in the paperback section, and the random number generator spit out Murder on the Orpheum Circuit by Jim Brochu. So this is something I have no familiarity with at all. It's called a Jack Benny mystery. So you see the author here on the back, Jim Brochu. It talks about his acting career. He's a stage actor, I believe. He's a television actor and apparently a writer. This looks kind of like it's just self-published. You know, I don't see any publishing house or any information about that on here. So it's kind of a self-published little volume. It's kind of a large print setup here, but it's a murder mystery. And it says it's February 1926, and Los Angeles is celebrating the opening of the Orpheum Theater. And impresario B.F. Keith has assembled the greatest acts, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and until the surprise reveal of who committed the murder. So the stage manager is murdered, and the mystery ensues. So that's Jim Brochu's Murder on the Orpheum Circuit. Really don't read many mysteries, but yeah, definitely willing to give this one a try. Again, he's an actor, and it's a Jack Benny mystery. The name Jack Benny did ring a bell for me. I believe it's a real person, and in doing some very quick research on this when I got home, it appears that these Jack Benny mysteries that Jim Brochu has written might mix and blend a little bit of reality and fiction. So I think some real life characters play a role in these, as well as fictional characters. So yeah, interested to give this a try. I'm not going to put it at the top of the TBR, but certainly we'll put it in the pile. And one last little interesting fun note about this find. Again, randomness is interesting, and you never know where it's going to lead you, and you never know what little tidbits are going to come along for the ride. So with this, I opened the first page, and it appears I might have stumbled on a surprise signed copy of this. Now, again, I don't know Jim Brochu. I don't, know of his stature exactly. He does have a Wikipedia page, if that means anything. I think, the general rule of thumb is once you have a Wikipedia page, you've sort of at least made it, a little bit to a certain stature. But this says right here, for Eddie and Lori, we love you more than you will ever know. Signed, Jim, and pointing down to Jim Brochu. So unless it's a joke or a prank that somebody did, very well could be just a signed little copy of this. So never expected to find this book, let alone one signed by the author. But again, randomness in action, Murder on the Orpheum Circuit. We'll see what that book has to offer. So yeah, that's it for the recent finds in the last few days, and a little bit of the history of why they were found and why they were scooped up by me, as well as a little information on the random pathway that led me to them. So I'll be reading them sometime soon and hopefully checking in with my thoughts. For now, that's it. Thanks for anyone who stumbles across this, and hope to be back sometime soon. Thanks for listening.